I want to talk to you today about jewelry and everything in between. So, let's talk about particularly the market for jewelry or accessorizing if you're a woman, you're a lady. Now, what are some jewelry things that if I say you're getting, like, you got a girlfriend, the holidays, we just had, about 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half, really, at this point, preparation for, Valentine's Day. That you had, Valentine's Day, you probably got your girl some chocolates, probably a gift card to her favorite stuff. I don't know, little couple stuff. You possibly got your girlfriend, maybe, a nice dinner, a movie, probably, like I said, some chocolates, some candy, a card, pretty much a teddy bear or something, or maybe you may got her a jewelry piece with her name on it or something like that. Or, depending on how your budget is and what you're looking like, traditional speaking, you might opt to get your girlfriend maybe a 26 mil Rolex, a 31 mil Rolex, Oyster Perpetual or something like that, small, comfortable, sleek. Or, you could have opted got her, a Van Cleef bracelet or something like that, the Alhambra, and you really accessorize it that way. But if I had to think about, everything how it is now in social media, the trajectory of event planning, dates and vacation, a lot of stuff, I feel like events and planning has gotten a little bit convoluted. We have people celebrating or basically doing lots of just too expensive or just expounding upon a lot of things that you see that people don't. Like the fact that, gender reveal parties are getting more brazen. People are really out here having, how can I put it this way? A lot of stuff at first was cute, but I think it's gotten out of hand. I'm not necessarily changing my opinion on that because I definitely think that a lot of stuff has definitely gotten out of hand. And eventually what you'll see with pretty much the market or trends, they'll subside a little bit. And everything. So, if we're talking about jewelry and accessorizing people, I don't think that a lot of stuff has to do anything with price tag, per se. A lot of stuff is a quality buy. Do I think a lot of things are quality buys, right now? The answer for jewelry, I don't think so. And it depends. I'm certified in jewelry, and I can tell you a lot of things about settings, eventually everything with certain things. Like if you want to get a particular necklace or how much that costs, I understand people have to make profit. Their expenses, what they're looking like, and what type of lifestyle or image they're trying to portray. A lot of stuff, it just depends. Because, there could be wealthy people who are looking to spend, upgrade their band. Like someone might add, a 30,000 VS1 natural or something like that. The only thing could possibly be off with it is really the cut and some stuff about it. Like this has shallow proportions. That's all the thing people don't think about, the brilliance. In order for something to have good brilliance, it must have excellently symmetry and certain stuff like that. And really you want a total depth percentage around between 61.5% to 63%. Because if that doesn't happen, you're looking at thick girdles, and thick girdles are not good for a diamond. It's not. Realistically, you want to go with medium girdles, and a diamond is supposed to have 57 to 58 facets. That's just the thing for maximum fire. So that's something people should know about. Realistically, Do I think diamonds are investment? Diamonds are not investment. I hate to basically inform you that if you are looking for a diamond and you go in the market looking for anything different or otherwise, like, okay, I have this jewelry piece right here, or, you know, I have a bracelet from Cartier or something like that. Depending on the documents and certain stuff like that, you're not going to get top dollar. Like, even if someone got something that claimed as Van Cleef or pearls, you have people doing imitation jewelry, and it looks the same, or if not, can rival quality. But if you ever go and try to sell that back to somebody, and you say it's Van Cleef and Arpels, and you don't have any documentation, yeah, you definitely got scammed. And do I have a problem with that? Yeah, I do. I have a problem with that if you bought something and it was advertised as something that it wasn't, and now it induces like fear, panic, and everything about it. Like, it's just not cool. Some other things I'm still thinking about is how bad society has gotten in terms of dating, and eventually, like, you know, the dating pool. Like, you know, not too long ago, we had women saying you can't take them to, let's say, Olive Garden. My bad. Excuse me. You couldn't take them to, you couldn't take them to certain spots that are considered bad. Well, not considered bad. A first introductory date. Like, I'm not spending $300 on a woman that has nothing to do with sex or anything like that. It's just not good. You know, you're supposed to get a filler. I don't think you have to spend a lot of money to have, you know, a great time with somebody. Like, you know, a lot of stuff should be progressing. And progressing, what I mean, just kind of get a feel of who they are, you know, do your interests align, do your values, your belief system. Or really engage with people and, like, how you like to spend your time. You know, the love language, not necessarily doing anything with sex or physical or anything like that, but just learn certain stuff. Like, you know, if your partner or something like that is used to stress or something like that, and their favorite thing is to have maybe like a caramel macchiato or something like that, you know, that brightens their day. That's something, you know, you write down and you keep that close to heart, and, you know, just try to do small, simple things from there, and you build upon that. No one should be given too much, no one should be given too little. But it has to be reciprocal, and that's like one of the main things with like a lot of stuff, the way things should work, but oftentimes they don't. So, how do I feel about, you know, other things in terms of like dating and relationships or anything in between? There's a lot of stuff I will say that a lot of people are, you know, like, I'll watch this video. I might watch these guys while I go to sleep. This guy bought his girlfriend like a heavy hitting like RM for like a I don't know how long they had been dating. I think they're a year or something like that. And she was like, she completes me. I'm like, you know, this girl, she's nice or whatever, but I mean, I'm not going to go out here and spend dubious amount of money on a woman. You know, that's just crazy in my opinion, because I feel like you're doing too much. I'm not saying he's getting used or anything like that, but that's just not a good look. To be a man and nowadays, it's not had anything to do with your particular, how can I say, your expenses. You have to be good with money. In traditional sense, I don't think a lot of men are doing great with money. Like, you know, we go for the fancy cars. We go for the bling bling, ching ching. I didn't go with the jewelry strictly because, like, the money accessory. I kind of basically try to get my tire up, try to purchase a house, try to live a low-key lifestyle, and try to provide, like, you know, envision the best service possible. Because honestly, when you go to the jewelry stores, you know, you're not getting a good service. You know, people should tell you the good, bad, and ugly with certain stuff. I would be confident that I wouldn't lose a sale. But at the same time, I'm not pushing the envelope. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, with most of anything, if you can't get 85% of your money back and you're expecting, you know, when you think about, like, the particular life event that you had, like an anniversary or something come up, and you go out here and spend, let's say you had a budget. You had a budget of like $7,000, you know. Honestly speaking, I will not prefer lab-grown diamond because lab-grown diamond is crap. people know what they pay for lab-grown diamonds. Like, people get that stuff for like $200. And then a price per carat, they're probably making around $800. Dang. Goddamn. I'll play a few more games. I'll probably play for an hour and then try to watch these guys on YouTube about what they're saying about watches. I saw what they did here recently with watches and what they had. They had an incident where they got robbed, and they had $500,000 on consignment. And they got robbed, and Jewelers Mutual requires certain people to have certain stuff a certain way or stored. Like, you can't have so many watches not in a safe, and then so you can have stuff in, you know, pretty much open in a display case. Like, you have to have certain precautions. And then there's just certain things, like, people don't know about watches, like wearing your watches openly. Like, there's different watch insurance. There's different watch insurance. Like, for instance, if you leave outside of your home, protection, like, you might have a home plan, but you may not have full comprehensive coverage. Like, okay, a safe. I know this guy, well, I watch this guy from time to time. He was from, like, England, and England is one of the most violent places where people are getting tracked, people are getting followed, people are getting robbed for watches. And the police there have created an operation. There's criminal gangs and immigrants going and robbing people. You know, a particular pub. You go down, let's say, for instance, Piccadilly Circus or something like that. Or, you know, you go down London, Hackney, or just certain places. You know you're going to get robbed. That's kind of tourist area. You know, you're spending money out there. You know, every place has a financial district. Do I agree with the crime going on there? No, I think they need to crack down on it, but the penalties and certain stuff should be pretty harsh. Like, if you go and rob somebody and crack their ribs or something like that, or these people have bruises and cuts and abrasions all over their face. These people have gone and robbed people, like, you know, 6 times and they only caught people on 2 accounts. Those people should never see the light of day again. Realistically speaking, with the type of watches and the crime, I think that immigration has gotten, I'm not, you know, conservative or anything like that. Immigration needs to be a little bit more transparent. People shouldn't be spending dubious amount of money, but people also have to have their character and everything, an example for, like, you know, a pathway to citizenship. Like, you know, an immigration attorney for people, especially in the United States, it's like 3 to 5 years. You're going to have 3 to 5 years of good behavior, wherever your case is. Like, if someone is fleeing, you know, persecution or certain stuff like that, they have provisions. What's the actual status? And what's, you know, exceeds a certain type of thing. Like, if someone's over here for education or something like that and they want to be an engineer, obviously that's going to look good. That's going to look good for immigration for someone to have an engineering degree or work for a software. That's going to look good for somebody to have, like, you know, software engineering, because that's a high demand job. But honestly speaking, we shouldn't be going and emphasizing certain career choices because there's too much growth. It's unparalleled, unrivaled, unmatched. You have so many people, what is it going to like for other people? Like, all the tech layoffs, like, you know, Cisco laid off 4,000 people, all these tech jobs, overhiring, overspending money, and then acting like, you know, AI. Like, someone, like, even Tyler Perry said the other day, he's worried about building or upgrading his new studio. People say I don't read, I don't know what I'm talking about. He said that he's not doing anything because AI presents a serious problem in the business world and business sense. To me, I would disagree with that sentiment. AI is doing exactly what people want it to do. Believe in it, cause artificial and over dependence upon it. And then once something goes down or a system goes down and people are using that for knowledge base, you're not going to be able to even function. If we're overly dependent on technology today for our decision making, human error outweighs and is better than a technological error, because technological error, it can be big, massive. Like imagine you actually out here, like you're an airliner, your hub or like electronics, getting people's luggage from everywhere in the world. If something is off and your system isn't fluid or anything like that, and you have luggage from one airport and then a connecting flight, like if you want to go to, like, let's say South Africa or Singapore, something like that, you're flying from San Francisco. Pretty much, you probably want to go to some place like Malaysia or something like that, and then you're going to go to pretty much all the way in, or Cambodia. You're going to go to some place. I know they have connecting, some type of connecting thing to like the Southeast Asia market. And because of that, I think that type of stuff is a very strenuous process. You have to think about fuel. You have to think about latitude and longitude. Then you got to think about if something in the right direction. Like you're not going to go directly over the sea. This is not going to happen. People try to fly like laterally to a place and then go from there. Realistically, I don't see myself really emphasizing certain places. Like, I just don't think like Dubai. People say taxes. You're seeing a lot of gurus and people say they're living better in Dubai than they're living in the United States. But Dubai, I'm not necessarily against Dubai per se, but I'm just not a big fan of it. Because you have people with zero taxes. Someone said that people, like I always keep up on the latest trends or emerging stuff that happens in Dubai. How people are going and getting these immigrants or people. They're getting these people to fix up the cars, like immigrants or people. They'll go to like Canada or Yukon, and then there's a stolen component, a stolen aspect, stolen cars. And they're going out here and purchasing cars like 6,000. And then depending on the truck and then the executive or something like that, they'll raise the price because Dubai has so much money that people will get like a 2014 car or something like that. A 2014, let's say Chevy Suburban could go anywhere between 10,000. But if you go overseas or whatnot, and people buy stuff for pennies on the dollar, or wreck cars rather, guy basically moved because he saw the big thing. People were buying wrecked cars from like, Canada, or rusted cars, something wrong with it, and basically fix the body and everything and get work from immigrants or people. They're kind of struggling and they definitely want to get some quick work, car mechanics or whatever reason. And they'll go and make a $12,000 profit. The people, pretty much, the mechanics are cheap, and they're basically piecemealing the work or certain stuff like that, and then making a $12,000 profit. And I think that's crazy. I think that's diluted, and that's almost downright insane when you think about it. You have people out here, I'm not saying, people are not supposed to make money, but people are living in inhumane conditions or certain stuff like that. That stuff has a trickle-down effect. It really does. And a lot of people are not thinking like that in the traditional sense, because if we have, particularly the most wealthiest place on earth, there's definitely pitfalls and grievances, I guess, in society or whatnot. I would say Dubai has its strengths and it has its weaknesses. They got the highest skyscrapers. I think they have some good views, but as far as, a place might be good to visit but not good to live. Everything about, your day-to-day living, food, water, it's expensive to live out there. And then, like, you think about your standard of living. Like, someone might consider, like, being a 1% somewhere is possibly considered, like, 700,000. But if you're talking about Dubai, the cost and that type of money is all relative. You have people making millions of dollars a month, and then people also saying you can't even get good apartments and certain stuff like that. And then you had certain people saying that Saudi Arabia, they make it hard to get citizenship. That people are moving to Saudi because they said there's lacks, it's very cool, it's very peaceful, it's a predominantly Muslim country. And I feel like that's fine. I don't have issues with people's religion or custom. But in a traditional sense, everybody's like an ambassador at large for certain things, and it has a trickle-down effect. Like, I don't really have any problem with like how people are living in the Middle East traditionally. I think the only problem becomes is like, okay, we're having certain stuff like, Segway. We're pushing, cars. We're pushing entertainment. We're pushing all these sports. All the big name stars like, Neymar, Ronaldo. All these people are going there. There's an electric, Formula One that's kind of out there or whatnot. This stuff is just a spectacle. It's something to see. People need to be entertained. But I think certain stuff is an entertainment center. A lot of stuff just overnight. You don't even realize that these people are there. Like Neymar played for PSG. And then the thing about it, Ronaldo's thing was publicly, how can I say, exponentially, definitely the news relevance. Him going to Saudi Arabia with his deal, like $1 billion just to play soccer. I'm not mad. He's a great soccer player that he made $1 billion. But at the end of the day, I just don't see, that's not going to necessarily draw me to go to Saudi Arabia. I don't have anything problem with like, the religion, anything like that. But how is that at the forefront? People are like, yeah, man, Saudi Arabia, let's just go. All that type of stuff. I understand people are fans. Like, I like Ronaldo. I think he's a very talented player. But you definitely have certain people going to a different circuit. Like, let's say, Mbappe. Mbappe just left PSG. He signed like a few years deal with Real Madrid, and he left PSG. He didn't let people know the details. He has his own like licensing thing. He's basically doing what Messi did. He's basically having his own app and using his likeness and basically licensing himself, his name through an app to better engage with his fans or whatnot. And he has like a streaming deal. So he has an absolute power and control over certain stuff. But if you look at other stuff, like, people at the latter stages of their career, like, let's say, for instance, I'll give you a great example of, let's say, like, Didier Drogba, great soccer player, great forward. He played for Liverpool. Like, a lot of people say I don't know what I'm talking about, but, I can hang with him. He played for Liverpool. Then he ended his career in the States. And he played for, I don't know exactly which team he played for. Like 2017, 2018, his career basically ended in the States. He can still play, but at the end of the day, what I think about sports, once you get past like a certain age, 38, 39, you're basically done. Didier Drogba was pretty good. Without a doubt. He was pretty good. But at the end of the day, we're talking about soccer and we're talking about just the experience people have and buying into a system. We're talking about buying in the system. A lot of people are not going to necessarily get that. You're not going to get that. Like, Neymar, Di Maria, Mbappe, that was a great lineup in theory for a period of time. Now, PSG, they're not necessarily saying who their top thing is. They're not really worried about Mbappe, which I think is kind of problematic. Mbappe was good. They saw his potential. He's been there for a while. They're moving on gracefully, and Mbappe is going to Real Madrid. I think that's okay. I definitely think that's okay. But what happens to their brand of soccer? That's my biggest thing. I don't think they're going to tank that well because I know a lot of people will say that like the Farmers League, their wins are illegitimate. Like you have Montpellier. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. You have what you call RENNES. I don't want to butcher certain stuff like that. You have Lyon. You have Marseille. They're pretty good. Well, they were pretty good. I keep up with my sports a little bit. I'm not claiming that I'm all knowledgeable on it, but I definitely keep up to a certain extent. My football. And PSG's in League One, so I mean I know a little bit, but I'm not claiming to be an expert. But again, I think that a lot of sports and then the licensing stuff has kind of gotten out of hand. I think people's talent is there. We will never be able to do what these people do. That's why we watch. We can criticize to a certain point, but I still think we have to be respectful of these people and their contributions to the sport, so we can talk about it for years and ages to come. Because if we think about, on average, the average career for a lot of sports is pretty bare. Like we're talking about basketball, people say that certain people should be in the league. I think people should be in the league, but their fall from grace was not necessarily subtle. I'll be willing to say that. He tried that. I'm goated at video games, anything that I do, sir? What are they talking about? I make this look easy. It's not even really cocky, but I do make stuff look easy. Even if I don't have a lot, I still produce. But that's besides the point. I think on an average basis, if we're talking about sports, a lot of stuff's going to be looking a whole lot different if we're talking about how people consume content. Like ESPN merged with what you call Disney Plus, and I'm all for definitely streaming or consuming stuff different ways. But for tying and then for what it is, that doesn't seem like a great deal for actual sports. Like I was telling my dad the other day. The NBA and everything about that, is not looking that great. The NBA League Pass, what is that looking like for the average Joe, the average consumer? If I go and milk something for what it's worth, and I'm going and saying something is premium, or I'm putting stuff behind a paywall, I think certain stuff, they definitely have to make some money. But let's not act like we don't have region lock stuff to divvy up or try to create a monopoly. And it's really anti-consumer as is, and we're putting more extreme or drastic measures to try to build hype. And stuff is backfiring. Each time I just can't, emphasize that enough, that a lot of stuff that we're basically going and having to deal with from a consumer standpoint. And then, you go back there and you see certain stuff. It's like, wow, I didn't see it at the time, but now it's looking like, more of a dub. A lot of stuff has become emblematic. Like the NIL is looking pretty bad for college sports. I'm not necessarily saying people should be able to make money because NCAA was making money hands over fist off of people. Like when Zion Williamson was in the let's say college, and before he was in the league, they got Zion Cam. Now with that whole thing, Zion could have made an app if he was definitely playing in the time that he was now. He could have monetized that. He could have had an app, Zion Cam. He could have definitely had a highlight thing, showing his favorite dunks or favorite plays, engaging with people. But even with the NIL, it's still kind of looking kind of fraudulent in my opinion. Someone could promote some trash or something like that and stand behind it, and because they have, you know, some level of fame, they can go and just sign off on it and get paid. But yeah, I definitely feel like sports right now is looking kind of bad. And if we're talking about like Formula One is looking okay, I guess. In a traditional sense, I mean, you have levels. I see a lot of stuff as being a demotion. Like if someone was from Formula One, to go to the Indy 500. I mean, to each its own. It's a different type of base, if you will. Um, People are driving, people are going certain stuff. Like you'll never find somebody in the traditional sense that, you know, Le Mans Classic, to go and be relegated to a certain thing. I'm not being disrespectful. I just don't think that a lot of stuff is to be. That's where cookie crumbles, guys. I've been going off here lately on games. Got that 10 kills. Yeah, I think it's like my second game, but yeah. What time is it? I got like a few more minutes, so we'll go, and I guess we'll talk a little bit more about, like, you know, just certain things. I think on a consistent basis, sports and the way we're consuming it is kind of gotten I let him play a few more, but yeah. if we're talking about events and certain stuff like that, I don't think that a lot of stuff is really what people think it is. Like sporting events. Like let's just say, what can I say with sporting events? I think a lot of stuff's gotten way too expensive. Like scalpers. I was telling my sister, money consists of smaller amounts. That's how people get, to a certain amount of money. Millions of dollars are flowing. Millions of dollars are not going to be flowing like that per se, or people want to get their money on the back end like an artist. An artist is only going to get a handful of money. Like, how do you deduce? Let's just say someone cancels last minute, like Rolling Loud. That's why I really don't keep up with a lot of these events. A lot of these people set, and what they're doing is kind of a scam. People are not even singing the song. They're having playbacks. Their DJ is messing up. They didn't practice. They didn't rehearse. They didn't have a sound check. And they're going from a standpoint of, I already got my money. No breach of contract. I performed my duties in theory, and they really didn't. They're going out here singing. And, whenever you designate, an artist to come and, basically on the guise of, hey, we had a cancellation, someone would ask you to fill in, produce, like, 3 of your favorite songs, or, 3 of your most recent or Billboard charting songs. A lot of people don't have it necessarily in them. And then, like, I'll give you an example. I don't think people are trash, per se. I just don't think they had a catalog to begin with. Like, Sheck West is a great example of, I would say, he had a huge window of time. He had a sleeper hit, Mo Bamba. He performed that so many times. Another one is T Grizzly. He had what you call it, first day out. He said he was making $3,000. He got out of jail, and he makes first day out. He goes to the studio, and he was performing stuff at clubhouses, and he was getting $3,000. Wow, I can actually feel that. That's crazy. But yeah, I would say on average, the average person is not necessarily going to be in tune with a lot of stuff going on. With sports, development, or, just engineering or anything like that. You're not going to necessarily know what's going on in a particular sense. Like, there's a lot of teams coming to certain places. Like the NBA wants to go out there and make a stadium and try to build a team for Las Vegas. I'm like, there's not really a need for that. And I know the MLB is supposed to be coming to my hometown and trying to pitch the idea of making a professional baseball team here. People say I don't read, though. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, I read. I just found that hilarious. Don't know what had me a little bit mad, but now I just learned it's just hilarious. It's just not that serious, but I thought, see, that's a business, executive decision by having something like that. Like, how are you going to build that out? And then the thing about the All-Star game was in Indiana, and they set the requirements. You must have a certain amount of basically venue. You must have adequate transportation. You must have adequate hotels. You must have like 20 different international ports open for people who want to come. You must have an expedited thing for media to come out there too. And I know why that is. They have to make money. But I think the biggest thing with All-Star Game, or most like any type of homecoming or anything like that, so much money is flowing out there and people are trying to get a piece of it. Honestly, sometimes I really don't think there's a market for certain stuff. I'll be willing to die on the hill for saying certain stuff that's just not really popular. Not because I want to be a contrarian. I just see certain stuff as just a fad. It's not. It's going to go by the wayside quickly. Like if someone was saying that, oh, there's going to be a new market out here. Oh yeah, we're moving on from watches. We're going to the luxury pen space. There's nothing luxurious about a pen. I don't care if something is, how can I put it this way? It has ink, it does this special thing. I think people should have a great pen, but a great pen, in my opinion, is literally like, a felt point, a ball point. Anything outside of that, I just don't care that much. I know there'd probably be a great pen. Someone probably will spend $1,000 to each his own. People do whatever they want to do. But the moment that we try to go and embrace, oh, this is a new sector, the bottom's going to drop out on that. That's with anything. Housing market, watches, jewelry, gold, or anything but otherwise. Commodities, futures, derivatives, ETFs, all this stuff is crap. I have a lot of unpopular opinions about certain things, but I feel like, it's synonymous with what's going on in economic conditions. Because if you were to think about, the average base retirement age, it's not going to be 65. I'll be willing to say it's getting closer to 70. And then the crazy thing about it is how much that stuff is liquid. I know someone said people are cash poor. And I would disagree with that. Like if someone has, $200,000 to their name in savings, and they have $800,000 in 401k or certain stuff like that, they are a millionaire, but they're not necessarily a millionaire because so much of this stuff is just tied up into their work and it's non-traditional. I would say that person needs to scale it and kind of watch what they're saying because that doesn't make any sense. Like, the person that said that they're worth like, $30 million, but at the end of the day, I'm just not necessarily a big fan of people calling themselves a serial entrepreneur nowadays because so many things could be said about a serial entrepreneur. I really would not, how can I say, in this day and age of, the internet and everything about it, a lot of stuff is being eviscerated. Everybody's going with a course. People are having conferences. And for lack of better words, a lot of stuff does not sound really logical and sane for the most part. You have cult of personality people. I'm not necessarily a fan. I had to tune out certain stuff on the internet. And, just embrace certain aspects of what's wrong with social media and what's wrong with where society is heading at in a traditional sense. Because if we just going out here and calling people gurus based off of hoo-ha, oh, such and such said such and such, but what is such and such doing behind closed doors? Like if I say I'm a car dealer or I'm somebody like that, and I can't produce a title for a car, I'll get people to run around, I can't produce tags, I can't do anything, that doesn't sound good. I can't produce paperwork. Certain stuff should be seamless processes. Hey, let me go ahead and get this. I'm gonna leave this game kind of like the land spots. I got how many more minutes? I got like 30 more minutes to go. I think a lot of stuff for what it is, even with jewelry. Jewelry is kind of one of those things. Like I saw this black guy say he spent $300,000 on 2 kilo chain. He got ripped off. He didn't get no type of diamonds. He didn't get anything like that. Realistically, in order to be profitable, I'm going to say gold is around like, I'm going to say for the people to be profitable, it's around, how can I put it this way? And with the labor and everything about it, people need to make a profit. Honestly, if I made a 2 kilo chain, I'm trying to go finish my school, do something with the bench, and then folks would watch me do it all. How can I put it this way? The real price of that, I want to say it's probably 180. Him paying $120,000 over it, nah. In order to be fair, market price, I would say 210 because you need to be able to give back a little bit in your service, and everything needs to be not necessarily artificially created, but it's a statement piece. Like with anything, I watch a lot of people with jewelry. You have certain people do certain things. They're known for certain things. Like A Jewelers is known for Richard Mille watches. They're known for creating big pieces for London's, stars. They're known for working with Fredo, what's called UK artist. They're known for working with Burna Boy. They hand deliver, what you call it, Burna Boy's old Voodoo chain for his late friend who died, who gave him the name Burna Boy. They definitely have made some statement pieces. They definitely didn't, how can I say, cut down on quality. You're definitely paying for the people's expertise and then matching and assorting those diamonds and basically creating those chains. I think they're very talented. Me personally, I would like to create, just be able to create and just do that because lots of it's just too easy. Working and doing a job that's, I would say, a menial task. Everyone should be able to make a living or whatnot, but a lot of stuff's just not paying well. It's not really a thought process behind it. It's more like, you're just doing something to make ends meet. And sometimes you're not making ends meet. It's one of those things where, at the end of the day, but yeah, I don't think that the economy is looking very good for certain people. Like, if you had to think about pretty much everything that we have going on, what type of person do you know is going to spend, $600,000 on a how can I put it, a chain? Like, I'll give you a prime example. A guy that I watch, he sells watches, and he went TMZ to basically deal with a guy, two artists, who basically scammed him out of money. Back to what I'm saying about like the sports and the watches or whatnot. I really do not see, like I told somebody that, if you buy a statement piece or a one-on-one or a piece you need, I don't think people would sell their watches. I know I personally wouldn't, but a statement piece, what type of insurance you got on that? What type of, thing that you have with it? What type of documentation? What type of paperwork? I know here recently there was this man who was a watch collector, he dealt with Christie's, and Christie's had jacked up and he sued them. Christie's, he wanted to get his watches back. He dealt with stuff without reserve or something like that. And without reserve means basically it doesn't matter who necessarily. There's not necessarily a limit. Auction houses have to make money. Stuff can go as little as $1 to whatever people are willing to pay for certain stuff. Now, some stuff I do have a problem with, particular watches, like, if something is a certain type of dye, a certain type of paint, people are going to go out here and pay dubious amount of money. Like, I don't have a problem with the money per se, but I just have a problem with the hype. Everybody's trying to basically do the same thing. You see a lot of places or companies that clearly lost their identity and what made them, their claim to fame. So many people trying to be show par nowadays, especially talking about watches. We have people out here creating gem set watches or art jewelry collection or something like that, basically. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. Patek Philippe, well, that's how the guy says it, and I call it Patek Philippe. He's probably one of the biggest guys in the world. He's like a billionaire. He has watches, some jewelry, pearls, all this type of stuff. You get nice stuff from Khaled, from Luxury Soup. I don't have a problem with Khaled. He basically says, certain stuff, it may not be a market today, but you have to have an extreme set of eyes to be able to kind of tell where the market is going. And I will say that's actually kind of false. That's the only thing I would disagree with him on. Is that the market is not necessarily foolproof. Like, someone may consider something terrible now, but within a few years, not too many people are going to know what a Daniel Roth is. Daniel Roth hasn't necessarily made watches since the 1990s, and certain stuff has become collectible now. And people are willing to spend $200,000 on a watch that only costs I'm going to say $40,000 to make. And the only thing about watches in the traditional sense is about what someone is willing to pay for it. And what's the story behind it? Like, I watch all these different guys, like Noriega. He basically went to the Richard Mille factory, met Richard Mille, and he was basically saying that, out of all the watch brands in the world, he said Richard Mille is kind of cool. You streamline something or you have a contact within Richard Mille, you can make something happen. You got to see the process and they take it seriously. I feel like, that's cool. I don't really have a problem with, Richard Mille watches, but the only thing is, what does something look like in a digital years from now? Like, a lot of questions with a lot of indie watch brands are really looking at a pivotal standpoint. The father of independent watchmaking, George Daniels, he wasn't necessarily a respected man in the space of watches at all. He only produced maybe a total of 5 watches, and he had a student, Roger Smith, and he lives in Isle of Man. That's not too far away from Gibraltar, but he only makes a handful of watches. Basically, I keep up with that to a certain degree, and he's the only known student of George Daniels. And George Daniels has a watch that can measure time, basic weather, and certain stuff like that, and it's a chronometer. It's better than Rolex in terms of keeping precise time. And then George Daniels, claim to fame was coaxial escapement. And you definitely have tiers of watchmaking that a lot of people don't know about. Like, you definitely have people who are, regarded as the greatest watchmaker right now. And who do I think the greatest watchmaker is at the current moment? I'm going to have to say, if we're talking about certain things, I'm going to say F.P. Journe. F.P. Journe watches are getting better. They age like fine wine. But the only problem is F.P. Journe only makes he's going to cut production. and anything that you have is basically an artifact. There's nothing like it. Like, he has tourbillons and certain stuff like that from early on that are considered to be one of the best works, finest works he's ever done. But at the same time, it wasn't regarded as a good watch at the time because of what he may have used in materials. He might have gone, most of his stuff is like platinum. He doesn't do stainless steel. He's definitely cut down on his models. I think what's problematic nowadays too is people don't understand what they have until it's gone. I mean, that's just so many ways. You really don't value what you have until it's gone. So, I mean, that's something to take away with it. But, a lot of stuff, in my opinion, savor, just the joy of something small, a small action. Like, I did this today. What can I do now? What can I do better? What can I, expect? Pretty much everything about, how can I put it this way? About the space of certain things, a lot of stuff isn't looking really that great. The economy really isn't looking that great for certain things or certain careers. And if you have bills, you have expenses, delayed, delayed gratification, and emotionally too, are people at a high. It's like, how can I put it? If I'm expected or projected to make, like a lot of watch companies, they have to basically cut production or halt production for certain stuff because dials, people are dying, master watchmakers are dying, they don't have anybody to train. They have to put watches, basically disassemble and assemble them, check certain complications like, a minute repeater, split second chronograph, moon phase. Like, I'll give you a prime example. Patek Philippe, they basically canceled or they discontinued their 5980. And people are saying that 5990 is good. The 5990 is not really that great. It looks terrible in the dial. I don't like something that basically is hugging up, like, all type of stuff. The 5990 and the 5740 look the exact same. They're both blue dial. But if we had to expect certain stuff with everything we have going on, Patek Philippe, I know they said the 5980 was discontinued. It went up by like $100,000 in a week. But that stuff is, how can I say rigged? I just say it's rigged because there's no way in the world that I would consider even buying that. I don't think it's a trash watch, but again, it's not about how much time you have. Oh, I think I'm going to make this amount of money. What's the hold time for that? A lot of people don't realize everybody's pretty much exit liquidity. Everybody's exit liquidity. Just like Bitcoin. People are exit liquidity. If you're spending so much money on something and you have a hold time, you can't sell. That's not necessarily your problem, but you have to be able to read the room and fix your own music. To be able to induce, or deduce the fact that, okay, this might be going here, what I bought it at, but if I can't sell within a certain time frame, or I'll be willing to lose a little bit of money, maybe like $3,000, but I can go and free some of that capital up. And how can I put it this way? And so it makes a jewelry piece. Jewelry is like the easiest business, but it's also a lot of risk and imminent danger, especially with robbery and certain stuff like that. High risk, high reward, or certain stuff like that. But you're expected to make some money. You're able to liquidate some of your stuff that doesn't sell. You go to the Crucible. You melt your gold stuff, you melt your stuff that doesn't sell well, and you're able to basically come out of there better. And I feel like, for the most part, that's good. Not too many other jobs or things can actually go out there and liquidate as fast as they can some of the monies or certain stuff because the money is tied up. And I think another thing is too, a lot of stuff is not necessarily good. Like for people to going out here and purchase a space, go and look the part. Like, okay, if you have a showroom or certain stuff like that, and you're not making money, you're making stuff look nice. And I watched this guy, his dad was Chinese, and he had learned the jewelry aspect, and he said he thought his dad was crazy for going and buying an old showcase, like, some stuff that has a few scratches, but he said, no, my dad was right. Because he said basically the furniture and all the stuff, these places are going out of business because they're going out here and buying and inspecting certain stuff to go out here and make a lot of money based on where the market's at. And going and spending money, what you see on Instagram or certain stuff, that stuff is unattainable. And, it's going to be hard for people to, keep up with that lifestyle inflation. Like I'm going out here and going to Nurset Steakhouse. I'm going out here, $300 lunches. I'm going to Tokyo. I'm traveling. I'm going flying first class. I'm eating sushi. I'm going to Boa. I'm going to, let's see, Nobu. I'm eating all these fine different cuisines. I'm staying at 5-star hotels. That just looks bad. Like, lifestyle, I don't think a lot of stuff is about what you spend. It's really what you do with your money. If you have windfalls of cash, you need to save your money, and notice that, times are good. Rarely do we ever, really savor the moment. We're just focused on getting the next, temporary dopamine hit and going from there. And instead of like scaling back on a lot of things, our energies are being focused on like what the next, I would say, natural high is. Like someone gets like a $40,000 windfall, they'll go out here and get a $25,000 car. I can make the car payments, but no, that's not necessarily a good thing like that. I would say go back to school, get yourself a skill set, and build upon that. Because, at the end of the day, you don't want to keep on working and your work's not valued, and you have nothing to show for it. Like, you wasted so much time, a car, or even just a space of everybody trying to be the guru now. Going out here and saying Airbnb, oh, I have all these rental properties, or, I'm doing this, X, Y, and Z. There's no blueprint for that. That's what a lot of people don't get. There's no blueprint for that. Like, you don't own the stuff. People are paying your mortgage. You're living in a room. You don't really know these people. You're having to make repairs from people tearing your stuff up. It's really become unsafe for you to basically live in your apartment or whatever you have. Your tenant occupancy, you do a background check, you do this stuff, the lease agreement. A lot of this stuff is teaching people to become part of the problem. And I think, oftentimes a lot of people are not necessarily engaging with, okay, a lot of people are not operating in the mindset of, how can I say, I have some work to do. But yeah, I think a lot of stuff is problematic when you think about it. Like, living, and it's a state economy of what we're living in. And then, too, like, I watched this guy, he's probably like, wow. I'll play one more, then I'm gonna get off, guys. Yeah, I got one more left for me, and I'm going to sleep. Like, I saw how this guy basically, at the peak of the market, he bought a car. He was showing the losses from dealerships. He said they bought a car for $44,000. That's what the market value was at the time. And, they were willing to sell this, get out of it for 36,000, like 750. Like the car dealership had consecutive losses of like $7,000. And for lack of better words, they were not able to make money. I think people should be able to make money, but again, you just have to have acumen and character building. You can't go and expect, I think though how the market's going to be in 3 months. Because 3 months is really telling. All it really takes people to have is 2 consecutive quarters, and if people are not have any acumen, or they're not necessarily have people on board that's going and saying that, hey, we've seen a stagnation period or a holding time. We can't sell a car. It has nothing to do with ourselves not selling cars. People just not buying. And in order for us to stay afloat, our retail aspect of our business, we need to do something that, more unique. We may need to take a loss, or we're going to make our money back through financing. I don't really think cars are really any good. I just don't believe in cars like that. I'm just not a fan of cars like that. I like a few cars, but again, I'm not necessarily that much of a car guy like that. I don't think cars as much. I don't discount people what they do for a living, but I know for me, I just don't like, the aspect that come with cars. A lot of stuff is just traditionally, from a trajectory standpoint, a lot of stuff doesn't look good on paper. And if you're not able to pivot, or how can I say, position yourself in a traditional sense where, you make some adjustments. I'm not necessarily saying layoffs are the way to go, but, you definitely might have to free up some of that capital. Like I saw this, this gym that basically launched during the reopening of the pandemic, when gyms were finally able back to open. This place had gotten a $185,000 loan, and they were unable to pay that back, and only had $15,000 in assets. So basically what that tells me is people are working for free. They aren't able to make money, and then we're in the day and age of social media. Like, we have certain things that is out here. The biggest scam is not changing your formula and not being hungry. Not necessarily for the money aspect of it. Money will come if you're doing the right thing. Money come and go, just like people. But that's another story for another day. Realistically speaking, the landscape of the economy, like, you have people making technologies changing, where people have, like, a mirror that basically get you to work out. And I was in California, I was in Santa Monica, I went to the store, and they had this window that you could go and see yourself, and it basically scoped up. It was expensive. It was like $3,000 to $5,000 or whatnot. And everything about it was get people in shape. Gave you basically tone down, you definitely focus on your nutrition. But it was focused on basically burning fat, sticking to a regimen, and then basically getting a 90-minute workout where you burn a lot of fat. You're doing all this stuff. And then if we think about, traditional trainer now, the P90X, a lot of people not on that. Nobody's really doing Shanti anymore. Sean T was a thing of the past. He's still great. Um, a great, instructor for, getting people to their fitness goals. I don't know who the latest guru is, and I'm perfectly fine not knowing it is. I'm not hating on anybody. But I'm just saying the trends or consumer trends, the demand for people is not going to be that high forever. And that's something that you kind of have to realize. If you're not able to go back to the drawing board and your identity is so focused on, I know I can have, X amount of people who will go and support me, and then that support wanes over time, and you didn't really expect for certain stuff to go as fast as technology or consumer trends to change so fast. You might be having a different conversation in a matter of weeks or even, in fact, days, because and oftentimes people are not going to be able to necessarily come up with a plan that's quicker. Like the traditional gyms aren't necessarily making that much money. I would say right now, gyms are not making money. I know people say that, how can I say, gyms are making money from people not working out or they're getting that membership fee, but I don't think so. What about that lease? What about lights? What about, electricity? What about all these different things, your offerings? And so many people cancel, or so many people just focus, or they just wane off of the gym completely. And, that contract, whatever you have with the gym, you follow that, you sign it, you do everything you can, your facilities. I mean, I think a lot of stuff about the lease agreement and what people have, offerings. Everybody's a customer at the end of the day. What are you doing that's so much special, so much different than other people are doing? Places can be, valued at $1 billion, but that doesn't mean it will stay there. So it come with a groundbreaking app or something like that, and if people are not careful, or people are not doing that, or people mismanage, the growth or success of certain stuff, or overvalue themselves, how quickly can things change? And, that's something that people have to realize over a course of time. That a lot of stuff is to be expected at a certain point. Because, you might have, your excise tax for certain stuff you have to take into account. Payroll tax, and then also your electricity and certain stuff like that. Like, I think the biggest problem with certain places nowadays is like, let's say a water leak or certain stuff like that, or a pipe burst in a gym, and you have a lot of electrical equipment. Let's say like you have a Stairmaster, and you just spend a lot of money to get that thing. You're focused on your offerings, your classes. You might have a Zumba class. Honestly, people go to gyms for a certain number of reasons. So instead of, people going and saying that, this place is trash, this place is this, a lot of stuff, in order to kind of take it a little bit nice and be fair to people, not necessarily hurt themselves too bad or beat themselves up, there's a lot of things people's needs may change. That is different demographic, or there's a different number of people who work out, who prefer Planet Fitness over, let's say, a Lifetime. There's just a difference. There's a difference between a 24-hour fitness versus, the thing that starts with an E that people want to go to, the rich people, the rich and famous people go to. They only have a handful of gyms. And people pay $10,000 a year to be a member of it. I think it's about facilities and then what people are able to derive from that. Realistically speaking, I don't think I'll be spending no $10,000 on no gym membership. I'll just focus on mental wellness, working out, definitely running probably 3 miles a day. I will gradually build in myself into routine. Maybe some martial arts or something like that. Eating clean. Definitely reducing salt and certain stuff in my diet. How can I put it this way? Incorporating, I would say, I say therapy is important too. everything about that, and really eating well. And people say you shouldn't treat food, as deep as you should. I would say you should treat food as deep as you should, because what you're ingesting and putting in your body now may affect you in the long term. Like, let's say someone has 30 years of grease and processed foods, and their heart health or their cardiovascular health is terrible. Doesn't look good for a number of reasons. If we're talking about your average heart health, like, it almost makes no sense. I know people often talk about people's heart health and how it's bad and what they're doing or what type of stuff they put in their body. Like, someone could be like, 35 with the heart of somebody who's like 60. And it depends on what they're doing in their body, what they're doing. They're smoking, their liver, their metabolism, their panels, what stuff is looking like. Because, a lot of stuff, you gotta treat your body well, gotta treat yourself well. You have unhealthy habits or, unhealthy patterns or certain stuff like that, and you're not necessarily managing stress well. You have a cigarette, alcohol, you're already at risk of cancer. You're already at the risk of cirrhosis. Your enzymes and certain stuff hasn't bile, your liver function, your kidney function, everything is looking that hot. Definitely gonna have some issues. And unfortunately, health is one of those things you can never really gain it back or gauge how much time that you have, what you can do, and what the future looks like. I think the next thing that I think about in terms of business or otherwise too is gym memberships and certain stuff like that are, like I said, offerings for a lot of stuff has changed. A lot of people not necessarily focusing on that. Like, if we're talking about, the average boutique experience for cars, watches, and certain stuff like that, how do I put it this way? You have a little screening process, you have people fill out information, you talk, you just get a filler. You try to be knowledgeable and present yourself a certain way. You focus on, attire. You focus on, definitely what you're presenting. I honestly think that a lot of people should not be reading off a script of certain things. It just sounds bad. You don't know anything about the watch or anything that goes. Certain things like that. It doesn't look that hot. The product seems gloomy, if you will. It doesn't seem, authentic or genuine for, you just say certain stuff, and then when you're asked about, okay, what is this doing here? What the features? A lot of stuff to me, I don't really care about the bells and whistles of certain things, because, a lot of stuff is technical, but you won't use it. Like if someone said that, a particular car has X, Y, and Z, that's cool. People buy cars for certain reasons or whatnot, but, realistically, just like the terms and conditions for a lot of stuff, we just skim through that type of stuff, but a lot of that stuff we should be paying more attention to in terms of what the ramifications for that stuff is, because, fine print and stuff is just not so fine. You spend a lot of money, and stuff has maybe a flaw, and you definitely have spent a lot of time and money on that. You can't get it back. And your time and energy and effort that you bought something and you thought it was this and it wasn't so bad for you. In traditional sense, but some places have a no refund policy, or they're going to hand you X amount of dollars back. That's just something you got to deal with. Me personally, I don't really think that a lot of this stuff that people out here buying is worth, I want to say, a lot of money. Like, a lot of people have gone and start talking about the Lambo yacht. Why would anybody in God's green earth go and buy a Lamborghini yacht? Like, that doesn't make any sense. A lot of people say opinionated. I mean, everyone should have a right to opinion as long as they're not being disrespectful, harassing people or threatening harm to people or anything like that. I feel like what I should say should be fine. Within reason, I can expound upon it. And I'm able to, give you a perspective that's great. It's insightful. And tell certain things because if you think about it, a Lamborghini yacht isn't known for yachts. It's just like, why would that's like someone making a toothbrush. That's like someone making, like, let's say Kohler. Kohler goes and decides to make toothbrush. Why would someone, you make urinals. Why would you go and make a toothbrush? That doesn't make any sense. We don't know Kohler for literally toothbrushes. It doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely insanity. But a lot of people are thinking about untapped markets, and I just like, it doesn't make any sense. Wow, that guy got me. I'll put one more and I'm really going to get off. But yeah, a lot of stuff does not make sense, in my honest opinion. Like, I feel like, there's definitely tiers of certain stuff. Like, someone who is an attorney and certain stuff cannot give advice or opinion. Some people may have at least a basic understanding of certain stuff, but it's not their general scope. Like, you can't expect someone who do entertainment law to be definite, like, thing on, let's say, give a speaking on, let's say, constitutional law or, like, anything that's strenuous or states' rights. You won't give someone a platform like that or a little thing like that leeway on that. This is not their scope. I wouldn't say they don't want to know what they're talking about, but a lot of stuff has to be checked. It's not disrespectful, but, like, it's just levels to it. It's just different tiers. I think oftentimes if we're talking about, a traditional, a traditional path for people, most people are not necessarily getting the real authentic flair of certain things. Like if someone is claiming they're a serial entrepreneur and the last 3 ventures that they have gone in, they basically are bankrupted, they defaulted on something, and they screwed their business partners over, or they owe so many people so much money. And I feel like the bad thing about business in the traditional sense that people call themselves are like, a serial entrepreneur, bankruptcy sometimes is not people's fault because we don't know the ins and outs, but if someone is seriously bankrupt, and they know they caused the bankruptcy of certain stuff. Like, they didn't see certain stuff. Like, the one guy that I do feel sorry for in traditional sense is the famous Amos guy. He had a product, he sold it, didn't realize what he had, and he's still out here trying to sell whatever he has, what he can have, that's considered a snack that's palatable and he can scale. He had another cookie that he was supposed to out here. He was on Shark Tank. There we go. He was on Shark Tank trying to get his new cookie thing off the ground called the Big Kahuna or something like that, Big Kahuna Cookies or something. And he wasn't able to get money, and that company wound up folding. And then he's basically back in like South Carolina. Last time I checked, to try to go and make cookies, and he didn't have enough money to focus, really live off of because of bad business deals, and then his distribution center and his packaging. He was only making something like, I'm going to say 60 cent profit on an actual cookie. And he had a GoFundMe up. I don't think that's funny. I think that's rather sad. But truly, he should have got some royalties or something like that. If you take $3 million, $3 million isn't a lot of money. And then, I don't regret people taking vacation, doing stuff for their family or certain stuff like that. But, you gotta get that money on the back end. You gotta get it on the back end. Because I would say, in order to be successful and you have a certain amount of money, 40% of it you need to save, 25%, needs to go to some type of yield. 17% you should be able to splurge. 17 still, for a religious obligation, the other 7% you still save or you give it away. My breakdown is 40%, 25, 17, 17, and 1. You should definitely have a lot of stuff in place. 40% of your money you need to save. I know people say that, the tax bracket, you're going to lose 40% of your money. Me personally, I don't think that taxes are 100%. It just depends on taxation, what money is going towards. Because if we're saying that we are going to, how can I put it this way, incentivize certain things, I would like to see it. Like if people are saying, oh, we're going to go try to go green or whatnot, why are you going to put a tax on electric vehicles and everybody's trying to go to that? Everybody is trying to go to electric vehicles. We have Formula One trying to go to electric vehicles. We have manufacturers trying to say, okay, we're not 100% going to go to electric vehicles. We're literally going to go hybrid. And once we go hybrid, we're going to basically build off what we got, how much gas or whatever you're getting per mile before you need to recharge or whatnot. And then, too, a lot of things are not necessarily getting the proper preparation that it needs to be able to sustain. Like, I watched a guy who had, like, a company, and for lack of better words, he was one of the first people to build, like, the infrastructure out. He would have it in key cities, like, on the East Coast, but he was focused on the West Coast, primarily because there was more opportunity and more venture capitalist money out there. He saw there was no infrastructure for, like, Tesla in, like, 2014. You would probably have to go 300 miles and I'm going to go mobile. And I'm going to start to give, like, a portable charging thing. You get a subscription, and I'll be with you. We're going to have, basically what it was trying to do was be AAA, instead of, like, at the time, there was no type of service or anything provided for people for electric cars. There wasn't that many power stations or charging stations for people. And, with the stuff back then, you're talking about 3 to 4 hours charging. And you're talking about 300 or 400 miles before your next, your next charge up. You're not really going to be able to live or even be able to commute to certain places. And honestly speaking, with cars and mileage, I don't think I'll be driving a car that's not necessarily conducive to the terrain or the environment which I'm living in. Like, it might be okay for someone to have a Tesla in Malibu, California, but it's not going to be economical and environmentally friendly for someone to live in a place that's rural, and there's no type of ecosystem or structure based. That's like someone living in, let's say, let me think about a rural place. It's out in the sticks. I'll give you a prime example. There's this place called like Pine Tops, North Carolina, and there's nothing out there. It's like someone going and getting a Tesla or something like that and live in a remote place that's desolate. There's nothing out there. There's nothing but trees. And let's say even Bertie County or like Lewiston. Let's get that prime example. Why would anybody go out there and buy a $25,000 car, for one? And the economy, and there's no type of they really don't have good infrastructure. The roads are terrible, for one. And, you really don't have a good gauge of whatever it is out there. Like, particularly, there's no type of real road, no type of improvements. It's not viable. I would be willing to say you need what you call it. You'll be willing to need like an all-wheel drive to be able to get out to certain places. But yeah, I don't think a lot of places or a lot of people are thinking when they go and make certain purchases. A lot of places, I don't think it'll ever change. There's no type of economic growth. There's certain places, and for lack of better words, I'm not surprised. Maybe someone might feel that certain places are comfortable. I'm not crapping on any of the places I'm talking about. I just think it's a certain type of living for a certain type of person. Pretty much everything that you have out at a certain place is just strictly emblematic for whatever it is. Like if I value living in a remote place, a rural area, rural living is not necessarily for everybody, for the faint of heart. You have a small footprint. You have a small economy. You may have a few different excursions you can have. Or like a hosky. I don't think there's necessarily that much out in the hosky or Aurora, North Carolina. Those places are very rural. And there's not much going on out there. They're like a petrified or something like that. Or dinosaurs or some type of prehistoric thing out there. That's about it. The bot thing is stupid. Because if I just did that and they didn't hit me right there, hitbox is terrible. This will be my last game. I'll try to watch a video and then I'm going to sleep. But I think at the end of the day, I say what I need to say. I don't really care about sounding good. I just give you my honest opinion. With everything that we have going on in the world or the landscape of certain things, and we're not really surprised. A lot of the places or people have halted production on certain stuff, or a lot of stuff's had recalls. Cars, right now, in my opinion, I would not buy a car. Or even a watch. A watch right now, it depends on the brand. You get watches right now 35% off in Hong Kong. And a lot of these watch dealers are fleecing people, or like, I understand people have to make a profit. I'm not, against people making a profit, but I'm not paying for something that I know certain stuff is crap. And just not going to sit up here and tell people the risk. Number one is insurance. How often I'm going to be able to wear this watch? There's certain watches I do like. I feel like, heavy hitters would be part of my collection, with small pieces will, definitely be a thing. Like, there's just certain stuff that, you have to know that is pretty decent and pretty affordable, and, it'll never go out of style. Like, I know people are saying that the Cartier Tank or the Cartier Française or the Cartier Rotan all these different things are, smaller watches. I definitely know a little bit about the watches or whatnot, but they're small. Cartier definitely has some men's watches, and they're small. They can go around for $4,500. I really think people make around get them for like three, and they sell for $4,500, and that's fair. They have to make a little bit of money. That's just not my style of watch. I would personally go for a JLC Reverso dual face. That's more elegant. I don't like Cartier because Cartier is, again, it's a fashion brand. They're not known for watches. It's almost equivalent to, like, again, like I said, Kohler making, toothbrushes. It is not, you think you would never see it, but, all the time people trying to tap into unmarked potential. Kohler's not doing toothbrushes. I know they're not doing that. But I'm just saying how ridiculous it looks for certain people to jump into a space without having any type of insight of what they can do and how they can build it. How can they build something? Because a lot of stuff, in my honest opinion, is looking pretty bad for the market and where the market's heading. Like, again, like I said, a lot of companies and places have clearly lost their identity and what made them great. Like, I know people are talking about that new Travis Scott watch for AP. Do I like it? I mean, I kind of like it, but then again, I don't think I would wear it because there's nothing really special about it. It's 250 piece limited. Retail is $250, and the market price is around $650. I definitely want to be one of the biggest watch collectors in the world. That's my goal. The biggest watch. So it's not necessarily about the money. I just got what I wanted. I'm able to basically have a family and build and do some type of giving back. But I don't necessarily think that in the traditional sense, all these watches and everything that they have are considered hits. Like, again, we don't know what we have. I might leave this game. I'll play one more for real, and I'm for real gone. This time I'm gone because that game was a little bit terrible. But like I said, a lot of stuff isn't really looking that hot for watchmaking, engineering, or anything like that. That Travis Scott piece, I won't say it's a statement piece. It's just not. It's a perpetual calendar, brown ceramic, skeleton with a rubber, not a rubber, like a leather strap, brown, and I don't know how much it weighs, but a perpetual calendar. It's, mechanicals, intricate. If it's ceramic, I would never necessarily wear that out that much. I don't want to scuff that. The complication alone is emblematic for a variety of reasons. The perpetual calendar was made by Abraham Louis Breguet, one of the most pivotal watchmakers of all time, the inventor of the split-second chronograph, the tourbillon, the perpetual calendar, and so much more. I just think, if we're talking about the average Joe, people don't even know that, I guess, but I mean, whenever you're thinking about a watch, whatever it is, the story behind it, how many hours, man hours it took to create certain stuff, you will want people to kind of give you a backstory. You will want people to kind of expound upon that. You're spending a lot of money. You're able to notice about how certain stuff works, whether, you have to pick out the crown and set your watch. Does it have, like, GMT function or certain stuff like that? That's something people need to think about. But, yeah. I think I'm about tired. I think I'm going to wrap things up and I'm going to go to sleep. But love you guys. It's been